This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good morning everyone. Last class we had discussion on
Good morning.
anti-hyperlipidemic agents. Can you all able to hear clearly?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Last class we had discussion on anti-hyperlipidemic agents, right? Just we will go through its revision once and later I'll start next chapter. So hyperlipidemia is the term used to describe elevated plasma levels of lipids, usually in the form of lipoprotein. So increased levels of lipid in
Ma'am, can't hear you, ma'am.
Through the blood through the lipoproteins. So I told about HDL and LDL. LDL is also called as bad cholesterol. So LDL, low density lipoprotein. So that carries lipids from the liver to the plasma. Means whatever the lipids circulating in the plasma, that is because of LDL, excess of lipid, and HDL means that will transfer or that will carry excess of lipid or lipoproteins from the plasma to the liver, that will take it back to the liver. So HDL is good and LDL is bad. So hyperlipidemia, it leads to the formation of atherosclerosis. So atherosclerosis is nothing but when the lipid is excess in the blood, that will go to the arteries and that will form a plaque on that, means that will obstruct the flow of blood. So this is called the condition atherosclerosis. This eventually leads to the heart diseases, stroke, and even death. So this need to be reduced. For those purpose, lipid lowering drugs are used. Those are also called as anti-hyperlipidemic agents. So classification, you know about HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors, fibrates or fibric acid derivatives, bile acid sequestrants, inhibition of LDL oxidation, and miscellaneous agents. So HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors is also called as statins. So first we'll see those mechanism of action. HMG-CoA reductase is important for the synthesis of cholesterol, right? If you inhibit this with the analog which is having the same structure like HMG-CoA reductase, but that will inhibit the synthesis of cholesterol. Like statins, HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors, they are having the same structure as HMG-CoA, so they will bind to the HMG-CoA reductase enzyme instead of HMG-CoA. So like that they will inhibit the synthesis of mevalonic acid, which is main precursor in the synthesis of cholesterol. So there will be reduced in the cholesterol synthesis and LDL lipid will be go back to the liver by activation of the receptors for the LDL on the liver. Then coming to the structure, so this is the general structure for the statins. So this structure resembles the HMG-CoA, that is hydroxymethyl CoA. So you have the study of lovastatin under that. So you can read this. All the structures are easy if you remember this basic nucleus. Consists of ester group. So once you see the structure, if you replace R1 with this one, lactone ring. 6-member lactone is the main ring in case of statins. Consists of one hydroxyl group. At 4th position, that will be where R1, R2 is H and R3 is also H in case of mevastatin. Lovastatin, R3 changes, and simvastatin, R2 and R3 both will change for methyl groups. And synthetic inhibitors, these are fermented inhibitors: mevastatin, lovastatin, simvastatin. Synthetic inhibitors are fluvastatin and dalvastatin. So fluvastatin consists of a tertiary amine in the ring, means benzpyrrolitase. The basic ring is benzpyrrole, and here the nitrogen is in the ring form, but here see the ring is open and consists of isopropyl group along with one methyl group, and here you can see only the isopropyl group. and it is in the salt form COONA. And here it consists of a lactone ring. Again, you saw no, same lactone ring is present in dalvastatin, but here the ring is open, that's it, and forms an ester, sodium ester of that compound. So if you join this, if you remove this, you will get a lactone ring in case of dalvastatin and consists of fluorine group. Next, coming to the fibrates. So these are having one ether linkage along with the ester part at the end. So clofibrate is the drug you are having to study. If you replace the R1 of the aromatic ring with the chlorine, you will get clofibrate. With R2 is ethyl group and phenofibrate, benzofibrate. In both cases, R1 is aromatic group. So here it is not a CH3, here the linkage is CH2. So you can join from R1 in benzofibrate. I'll change the tense and next mode of action of fibrates. They mainly stimulate the PPAR, peroxisome proliferator activated receptors. These are, if these receptors are activated, they will they cause fatty acid metabolism by causing oxidation of fatty acids. So metabolism of fatty acids are nothing but degradation of fatty acids or degradation of lipids. When lipids are degraded, what happens? They will no more circulate in the blood, or they will no more cause obstruction in the blood vessels. So they also enhances the lipoprotein lipase enzyme, which will lipoprotein lipase enzyme is the main enzyme which causes degradation of lipids or breakdown of lipids. So significantly this leads to the reduction of VLDL. So PPAR, peroxisome proliferator activated receptors, are stimulated by fibrates, so that causes oxidation of fatty acids, and they also inhibit triglyceride synthesis. So eventually leads to the degradation of fatty acids by activating lipoprotein lipase enzyme and reduces the VLDL, this one VLDL lipoproteins. So clofibrate synthesis, I think you don't have this synthesis, but sometimes they may ask for 2 marks also. So you look at once the synthesis. Parachlorophenol, acetone and chloroform. These three, when you reflux in the presence of base, you are getting clofibric acid. Clofibric acid, and this upon esterification, water is removed. HOH, water is removed and the remaining part will attach here, forming clofibrate. Nothing but acid is converting into ester with the help of alcohol. So clofibric acid to the clofibrate and ester. Next is bile acid sequestrants. So in this main drugs are cholestyramine and cholestypa is there for study. So cholestyramine and cholestypol, these are polymers. So that's why you are getting structures like this. So cholestyramine consists of a quaternary amine group, and in cholesterol, tertiary amine group is present along with the hydroxyl group. So it is a linear chain of polymer. These are also acts as anti-hyperlipidemic agents. So these are mainly non-systemic drugs, means its work, the drugs, cholesterol or cholestypol, their work is not in the blood. So if you see their mechanism of action, they act by binding to the bile acids within the intestinal lumen and interfering with the reabsorption and enhances fecal excretion. So they mainly bind with the bile acids. That what happens, they will increase the excretion of bile acids, and they will interfere interferes with the reabsorption, means they will stop the reabsorption of bile acids from the intestine to going to the blood, because cholesterol is the main thing which will cause bile acid secretion. So when you stop bile acid, or when you excrete bile acid in the by preventing the reabsorption of bile acids, what happens, cholesterol will start producing more amount of bile acids. So now cholesterol synthesis increases, and it will result in the reabsorption of bile acids. It will result in stopping of reabsorption of bile acids from the intestinal lumen. So that increases hepatic conversion of cholesterol to bile acids. Then cholesterol will no more longer participate, or no more longer will transfer in the blood plasma. So its main intention is to increase the secretion of bile acids. So then cholesterol will be directed to the production of bile acids. Not means that will no longer transfer in the blood plasma. Next is LDL oxidation inhibitors. This is Probocol. This drug consists of sulfur bridge or thioether. So others are miscellaneous agents. Nicotinic acid. These are all not there to study, but you should mention the names in the classification. So nicotinic acid, the structure is consists of pyridine ring with carboxyl group. They will decrease the metabolization of free fatty acids from the adipose tissue. They enhances the clearance of VLDL. Then plant sterols. They also inhibit the intestinal absorption of cholesterol. Same mode of action like bile acids. So when the cholesterol is absorbed, what happens, that will go to the systemic circulation again. But when the cholesterol is converted into bile acid, that will be excreted. This is the mechanism in both bile acids and here. When it is absorbs in the blood, its content in the blood will increase. So there will be increase in the levels of cholesterol in the blood. But when it is excreted in the form of bile acids, that reduces the cholesterol level in the blood, and that will go as excretion. Next, other treatments include hormonal replacement therapy. Hormonal replacement therapy directly stimulates LDL receptors activity, leading to the reduction in the total cholesterol and LDL levels. Then moderate increase in the HDL levels and decrease in the HDL and LDL oxidation. See, this oxidation is nothing but if LDL lipoproteins are undergone oxidation, that will react with the free radicals. So when the LDL proteins react with free radicals that cause oxidation, that causes damage to the surrounding tissues, causing them to inflammation. So oxidized form of LDLs levels are dangerous. That's why preventing of LDL oxidation is important. Please go through the slides 5 minutes, and I will start next chapter. These two structures also not necessary to study, not there in the syllabus copy. So please ask any doubts are there in this chapter. See, you have the drugs clofebrate, lovastatin, cholestyramine and cholestyramine. So these two drugs, and cholestyramine, which are polyacid sequestrant. So they may ask about bile acid sequestrants alone. That time you should write these two drugs with the mode of action and its uses. Uses are nothing but anti-hyperlipidemic agents. Okay. In mode of action. So the 7-hydroxylase enzyme, cholesterol hydroxylase enzyme is important for the conversion of cholesterol to the bile acid. And clofebrate, this drug. And lovastatin, this drug. Only 4 drugs are there to study the structures, and remaining all names you should remember because to write classification. And for each class, mode of action you should write. 3 classes are there: fibrates, statins and bile acid sequestrants. Only these 3 classes are important. So for these 3, mode of action is important. Remaining you should write the subheading in the classification. So if you want to write about LDL oxidation, you can also write.
Ma'am, what is bile acid sequestrant?
This one, bile acid sequestrants. That only these two drugs, cholestyramine and cholestyramine. These two drugs are bile acid sequestrants. Bile acid sequestrants means they increase the excretion of bile acids from the intestine. So when you excrete bile acids in high amount, your cholesterol is responsible for the conversion of, means your cholesterol is responsible for the production of bile acids. So when excess of bile acids are produced means excess of cholesterol is consumed for the production of bile acids. Understanding, if you increase the production of bile acids, that much amount of cholesterol is consumed from the blood, so that will be excreted in the form of bile acids. In other words, you are excreting cholesterol in excess amounts in the form of bile acids, so that your blood will be cleared with the lipids. So clearance of lipids from the blood in the form of excretion of bile acids. These are called as bile acid sequestrants. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. In other words, that means they are inhibiting the reabsorption of the bile. If it is reabsorbed, bile acids are reabsorbed means what happens? Again the cholesterol will come into the blood. But stopping of reabsorption leads to the excretion. So these drugs mainly do that. They will enhance the excretion of bile acids, utilizing more amount of cholesterol from the blood. So these drugs will not work in the blood. Their work is production of bile acids in the lumen of the intestine. Any other questions? Understood this one? Fibrates?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So I'll start with the next. So coagulants and anticoagulants, it is also one of the chapter in unit 3. So this is also one small chapter. Unit 3 includes your anti-hyperlipidemic agents and anti-anginal agents and also anti-arrhythmic agents. So that anti-arrhythmic agents, little big chapter, I'll start in the next class. Now we will see coagulants and anticoagulants. So what are coagulants? These are the drugs which promote the blood coagulation and used in the treatment of hemorrhagic disorders. They can see the screen. So how coagulation happens? Hemorrhagic disorders means what? These are also called as bleeding disorders, right? So any example for bleeding disorders or why bleeding occurs? You know the
Dam
you cannot it is not audible.
Ma'am, internal damage to the blood vessel by high blood pressure or something.
I'm asking about disorders. Any example for hemorrhagic disorders? You heard about hemophilia, isn't it? Hemophilia is also the blood disorder. So why this coagulation means why this clotting of blood is caused? Sorry, why hemorrhage is caused? So the main factors for the hemorrhage is deficiency of the clotting factors. Mainly the clotting factor 2. Total 12 clotting factors are there, and generally they named as 13, but in count they are actually 12. So in that clotting factor 2, 7, 9, 10, their deficiency in the liver means they are synthesized in less amount in the liver causes these hemorrhagic disorders. So the coagulants, that's why these coagulants, the external supplements of some drugs are given to stop the hemorrhagic disorders or bleeding disorders. So hemorrhage is nothing but inability to form a proper blood clot. Beside you can see one structure. So injury or damage to the blood vessel or ruptured blood vessel, and later what happens, the next step, vessel contracts. Nothing but blood vessel around this injury will constrict and reduces the blood flow to the damaged area. Next step is platelet plug. So platelets becomes sticky and clump together to form platelet plug here. Next one is platelets and damaged tissue release clotting factors. Here comes the action of clotting factors. They will release the clotting factors which causes coagulation. Then blood clotting mechanism to form fibrin. So that acts like a mesh to the stopping of blood flows. This is the general mechanism, happens naturally. But when there is absence of clotting factors, there will be increase in the hemorrhage. So that is, for that purpose coagulants are used. So classification of coagulants, mainly the vitamin K and miscellaneous drugs. You know the role of vitamin K. It is needed for coagulation and synthesis of important proteins which are involved in the coagulation. So vitamin K, again classified as vitamin K1 and K3. You have these two drugs to study under. vitamin K. Vitamin K3 is the synthetic form of vitamin K. Here, menadione, it is also called as one more name, vitamin K3. And others are analogs of that. Menadione acetominophen, menadione sodium bisulfate, menadione sodium diphosphate. And miscellaneous drugs are fibrinogen and others. So menadione, this is the structure, consists of two ketone groups. That's why it is named as dione. So fused aromatic rings. It is a synthetic analog of vitamin K. Its primary function is to assist the blood coagulation, and it can be used in the liver cirrhosis, which is associated with the bleeding, so internal bleeding. Then overdose of anticoagulants. So anticoagulants are the drugs which cause opposite action to the coagulation. When there is excess of clot or internal clots in the blood vessels, that time you need to use anticoagulants, because there may be chances of causing heart attacks and other disorders, thrombosis and other disorders. So to prevent that, you are using anticoagulants. If you take overdose of anticoagulants, they will make your blood excess thin. So that time what happens? Coagulation will not occur because you are taken overdose of anticoagulants. That time coagulants are used to treat in other way to stop the hemorrhagic condition. Then salicylate poisoning. Salicylates are also called as blood thinners. So they will make your blood thin if your blood is very thick. So that time what happens? There are chances of formation of clots. That time salicylates are used. Example, the drug aspirin. Aspirin is a blood thinner. If you take excess of aspirin or excess of salicylate drugs, that causes poisoning or toxic to your body, that time if blood clot will not happen. That time coagulants are used as a treatment. Example, this menadione. And its main mode of action is it acts as a vitamin K analog, so acting as cofactor in the synthesis of factors. These are important for the blood clotting. Then vitamin K analog is needed in the step of gamma carboxylation. See, this gamma carboxylation is the step which render the binding of calcium ions to the phospholipid surfaces. You know the role of calcium ions, very much important in the blood coagulation, because they accelerate the coagulation, because they acts as chelating agent, calcium ions. So when they bind to the phospholipid surfaces, that process is essential for the coagulation that surfaces on the blood vessel. So calcium ions will bind to the phospholipid surfaces with a process called as gamma carboxylation. So this will be done in the presence of the clotting factors 2, 7, 9 and 10. So the deficiency of these clotting factors will cause hemorrhage, but when there is a deficiency, you can use vitamin K analog, that is vitamin K3, your drug menadione. So next drug is acetomenadione. Only the acetyl group is present here. In case of menadione, here CH3 was there, but here acetyl group is attached. Both actions are same. Menadione and acetomenadione both are vitamin K3, vitamin K analogs, or named as vitamin K3, and uses also same. The main use is to assist the blood coagulation. For example, you can give like internal bleedings in case of internal bleedings, or in case of overdosing of anticoagulants, or salicylate poisoning, or internal disorders like liver cirrhosis associated with bleeding. So this is about coagulants. These two drugs are there to study, and mode of action for both is same because both comes under same class. Mode of action is same. And anticoagulants. So coagulants are used to prevent hemorrhagic disorders. Now here anticoagulants, they are used to reduce the coagulation. When there is excess of bleeding, that time coagulants are used. But when there is a clot formation, that time anticoagulants are used. So these drugs will reduce the coagulation in intact blood vessels, and these are used in the prophylaxis of venous thrombosis, means clot formation in the veins. These are called as anticoagulants. So classification is mainly classified. This main classification is only two types: parenteral anticoagulants and oral anticoagulants. This extra class I added because you have one more drug under to study in this. That's why I added one more classification, because this drug will not come under these two. It can be used as oral or parenteral, both. Clopidogrel. So I gave the separate classification antiplatelet drug. So parenteral anticoagulants mainly heparin or low molecular weight heparins, enoxaparin, dalteparin. Then oral anticoagulants warfarin, nicomalone, anisindione, and phenindione. And in this, you are having only one drug to study, that is clopidogrel. So in total, in anticoagulants, you have 3 drugs to study: warfarin, anisindione, and clopidogrel. But you need to remember all the names of other drugs also. So warfarin, it is very popular anticoagulant agent. Okay, the structure. So this is the structure of warfarin, and it is used in the treatment of blood clots and prophylaxis of coronary thrombosis, means presence of blood clot in the blood vessels which are supplying blood to the heart. Prophylaxis of this cerebral thrombosis, means presence of blood clots in the brain, especially veins of the brain which will drain the blood from the brain. Then pulmonary embolism and myocardial infarction. So heart attack also caused due to blood clots inside the blood vessels. So next you have the synthesis of warfarin. It is a simple condensation reaction. 4-hydroxy-coumarin and benzyl acetone. These two will undergo condensation at this point, and you will get warfarin. So the basic nucleus in the warfarin is the 4-hydroxy-coumarin. So you can number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have synthesized coumarin also, 7-hydroxy-4-methyl coumarin. So that is also used as anticoagulant, warfarin. Then mode of action. Warfarin is acts as anticoagulant by interfering with the synthesis of vitamin K dependent. See, your coagulants are treated for the deficiency of clotting factors, isn't it? But here warfarin reduces the action of clotting factors. Same, coagulants will increase the action of gamma carboxylation, or they will increase the process of gamma carboxylation by increasing the amount of clotting factors. But these warfarin will block the gamma carboxylation of glutamate residues for the factors 7, 9, 10. These are the clotting factors. So again, gamma carboxylation is necessary for these factors to participate in the coagulation, because they eventually causes the binding of calcium to the phospholipids on the membrane, and that causes clotting. But here the opposite action, you are preventing or blocking the gamma carboxylation of these factors so that coagulation will not happen. So anticoagulant action. But the onset of action of this warfarin is slow because it is taken orally. So it takes 1 to 3 days to start its action. Same mode of action in the opposite way you can write. Coagulants are treated for the deficiency of clotting factors, and in turn they increase the process. One step in the coagulation is gamma carboxylation. That step will helps in the binding of calcium ions to the phospholipid to form a clot. So here the blockage of gamma carboxylation, so that the factors will not, the factors will reduce and they will not bind to the, means they will not cause calcium binding to the phospholipid layer, so that anticoagulation action will come. Then anisindione. See, this is a form of indane dione, a synthetic indane dione. It is a derivative of indane dione, anisindione and phenindione both. These two are the derivatives of indane. So they are the synthetic analogues. Their main action is to interfere with the vitamin K dependent hepatic synthesis of clotting factors. This is also same action. It will inhibit the formation of clotting factors in the liver. So it is used in the treatment of venous thrombosis, clots in the veins, and treatment of arterial fibrillation and also embolism. So this pulmonary embolism or embolism refers to the condition where the arteries and lungs become blocked by the blood clot, pulmonary embolism. And this arterial fibrillation is referred to the irregular or rapid heartbeat, commonly due to the poor blood flow to the heart. So that poor blood flow refers to the presence of blood clot, or blood is not flowing properly because of its increased thickness. So that causes arterial fibrillation, irregular or rapid rate of heartbeat or heart rate. Next, and it is a dione. So wherever dione comes, there will be two ketone groups attached to the ring. Here 5-membered ring is there. Next is clopidogrel. So this drug comes under the, it is not, means it will not come under the classification of anticoagulants. It is separately classified as antiplatelet drug. So it will reduce the platelet aggregation mainly. So used in the treatment along with the aspirin. So I told already, aspirin is a blood thinner. Along with aspirin, it is used to treat the chest pain due to means blood vessels are blocked with the blood clots. So this clopidogrel works by the blocking of platelets from the sticking together. So that's why it is an antiplatelet agent and prevents them forming a harmful clots. So platelet aggregation causes the clots formation. So this will blocks that, means, or this will stop the sticking of platelets together. So this consists of saturated pyridine ring along with the thiophene fused together. So as the name indicates, it consists of a chlorine group and here one ester part, CH3OCO. So that is attached here. It acts as a, the main mode of action is to prevent the ADP or adenosine diphosphate. See, adenosine diphosphate, when it binds to the platelets, means, or receptors on the platelets, it will bring about platelet aggregation. So when the platelet aggregation starts, this adenosine diphosphate, when it binds to the platelets through the receptors on the platelets, that time platelet aggregation occurs. So when you stop this adenosine diphosphate by binding with the receptors on the platelets, then it prevents the activation of platelets for the aggregation. So this mainly important for the activation of platelets for the aggregation. So this clopidogrel, the drug, acts as antagonist of this ADP. That's why it will stop it from the, means, it will blocks the receptors for the ADP. That time what happens, platelet aggregation will not occur. So this is used in the combination with the aspirin and mainly used in the condition like myocardial infarction also and other coronary syndromes, acute coronary syndromes. Okay, these three drugs are there to study and the synthesis of warfarin. It is a condensation reaction. This drug is there to study for the synthesis only warfarin. And this is important also. This is benzyl acetone, BENZAL, benzyl acetone. Benzyl, I told, when the phenyl group attached to CH double bond CH, that group is called as benzyl. And here CH3 group is there, CH3CO, that's why acetone. So you can write here, it is a derivative of coumarin. Okay, in total, in the coagulants and anticoagulants, 5 drugs are there in the coagulants, mainly minadione and acetominadione. These 2 drugs, the structures are same. See, this is the basic nucleus. When you replace this CH3 as R, that is with your vitamin K, that will be having extended part. But that when replaced with CH3, you are getting your drug. So the basic nucleus is the dione part is the main thing. That's why it is the analog of vitamin K. Vitamin K also contains this part, and vitamin K3, your minadione, also contains this part. This is the main nucleus. Both the structures are same, only differences here methyl group is there and here acetyl group is there. So those 2 drugs in the anticoagulants, warfarin, anisindone and clopidogrel. These 3 drugs. So total in 5 drugs are there to study. I'll send you the PPT and please wait, I'll take the attendance. And if in case any doubts after sending PPT, please text in the WhatsApp. You can leave now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.